Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Carrow Road. It is 20 to 12 here at Carrow Road. We're still here. The lights, thankfully, are still just about on. I think after West Brom, I stood with a big grin on my face because of the nature of that win. I think tonight is more about how impressive a statement it was, how pleasing a result it was, because that was, and there goes Philippe Clement. It was a really, really impressive, commanding statement victory for the Canaries here at Carrow Road tonight. 3 wins on the spin. They've just conquered the league leaders on their own patch. Something that I think felt unimaginable a few months ago. And I think um, I go back to the reverse fixture at the CBS Arena in September, where Norwich were battered that day. And for me, it was the first day, I'll be really honest, where I know lots of people spoke about their fighting spirit and maybe how good a point it was. But I think it was the first time in that season, before obviously the bad run began, where I felt really concerned about the direction of travel that Norwich City were going, because they got absolutely pummeled that day. It was one of the few occasions I've been sat inside a football stadium and felt relief after Norwich City have conceded a last-minute equaliser that they've walked away with something, because it was as dominant a goal, as wide as I'd seen in a Championship game of football. And you compare that to what we saw tonight, where Norwich City have deservedly won a game against the league leaders who've been top of this division for such a long period of time. They're such an impressive team, Coventry. I think you see the talent that they have, the players when they get in the attacking players in particular, when they get in certain areas of the pitch, how dangerous they can be. And from one goal down as well. This is the first win that Norwich have recorded where they've conceded first and gone on to win. You have to go back to that forcing game at Carrow Road, 12 months or so ago, where they were, that was late, and they left it late to win that game. This is the first one since then that they've won from behind. So, yeah, really, really impressive night. Really big statement of intent, I think, and a sign, if Wrexham and West Brom weren't those signs, that this football team is fun, exciting, but it's really serious with Philippe Clement at the helm. They are producing top level Championship football when they want to. Some of the football they played tonight was outstanding. Clean transition. They have got is largely sorry. Hopefully, I'm back. The shift that we've seen is largely psychological, I think, because it's really interesting when you consider the changes, because there's structure and there's clarity. Norwich press a lot better. They're a lot more organised. Their structure's pretty set. They go kind of 4-2-3-1, and they look to engage and press really high and play with energy. They are, they're just more cohesive in terms of the lines and how close they are positionally, and each phase of play feels a lot more carefully constructed than it did before. And it just felt like it was kind of in a death spiral. But actually, the shift is, yes, about structure and about tactics and about formations and what they do in and out of possession. Absolutely all of those things, and every single facet of their game. Defensively, they concede much fewer chances on their goal. They're much better with the ball. They're much more effective in their press. And they're beginning now to add that potency at the top end of the pitch. So all of that stuff is absolutely true. But equally, I think when you look at this team and you see the difference between the years, where you see the impact, I think that having a big presence, a powerful voice, some belief, some confidence, a system they they've got buy-in with, how fundamental a difference that has made to this football team. I've said it a few times, but it felt like before Philippe Clement came in, this was a football club that was it kind of felt like you were watching a car crash in slow motion. You could see the direction of travel. You could see it hurtling at pace towards the object that it was going to hit. And yet nobody really inside the vehicle seemed capable of knowing how to get themselves out of that situation. No one seemed to be able to find the brake and to turn the vehicle around. It just felt like it kept careering off course, and it was in this kind of cycle of negativity. And they looked doomed. They looked like a team that were going down. Let's be really transparent about that. They were one of the worst teams, barring a Sheffield Wednesday team in exceptional circumstances. They were the worst team in the division. Contrast that to now, since Philippe Clement has come in, they're fifth in the form table. This is a team that couldn't win a game for love nor money. I've said that a few times, and tonight they've beaten what has been so far the best team in the Championship, and deservedly so over the course of the game. That transformation is incredible, remarkable. and is solely reliant on really the change, which was the head coach, his coaching team. A lot of that coaching team is the same: Ryan Gary, Nick Stanley. A lot of those players are the same, and the difference is it's not even day and night. It's more stark than that. It's winter and summer. It's morning and evening. It's light and dark. It's incredible the change. And this is where I think, for all of the flack that he's taken, Ben Knapper deserves a huge amount of credit, because you look at he's influential in bringing Philippe Clement to this football club. He was influential in terms of some of the signings that we've made. And I think we're seeing now increasingly that some of those have real talent. And what actually they needed was a coach to provide direction and to provide a set of instructions that would allow them to compete and perform. So tentatively, because they're still in a precarious situation, they still need to keep improving and keep going from where they are. But I think Ben Knapper deserves credit for the way he's changed course. That doesn't excuse what went before. It doesn't mean what happened before is erased from history, because it was the decisions ultimately that he took that led Norwich City down that dark path. But equally, it's then about, well, can you get them out of it? And against huge amounts of pressure and scrutiny and criticism, seemingly the choices that he has made subsequently have done that. As I said, there's a long road to go, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people inside this place and fans at home who still need convincing. But it feels like a football club again that is beginning to, an oil tanker that is beginning to get turned and is beginning to point in the right direction. And the scenes at the full-time whistle here today were as jubilant, as joyous, as remarkable, as memorable as I can remember since Norwich City came down from the Premier League. And I think that is indicative of what this team has created and what they've become as well. A really likeable team, a team with personality. You've got players stepping up who had been written off. There's some remarkable stories and some really good individuals. And it's a really young team. And, you've got Ali Ahmed scoring goals after he came in. You've got Kenny McLean still an absolute constant in their midfield. I think that Cordoba and McConville backline looks incredible and well balanced. And all of those elements feel really secure and really consistent. And it's just remarkable, I think, that we've got ourselves to a position where they are able to edge out the league leaders. So how did they do that? Because it wasn't all easy and all plain sailing. I felt it was a really erratic, frenetic start. I thought it was a really good game of football, first and foremost. A really good advert for the Championship. Two teams, it was a really open game at points. Two teams that wanted to score goals, that wanted to hurt each other, that wanted to, in a footballing sense, although maybe for one player in a literal sense, or two players in a literal sense. And it felt like a game between two teams that were really even. And again, I go back to that game at the CBS when I was stood post-match, puffing my cheeks out, kind of fearing the worst. And obviously Norwich then went on the run that they did. Chalk and cheese compared to today. Competitive for long periods of the game. And I think what I like about this Norwich team is yes, there's a resilience to it, absolutely. But I think it's now that kind of smartness that when they go 1-0 down or when they go behind in games, yes, of course, you need that resilience to be able to withstand that. But also, I think now there's an ability to read and manage those situations a lot better. I thought, Clement said this post-game, but I felt it as well. I thought heads did drop tonight for the 5 minutes after Coventry's goal, and that was largely because of the work ethic that they'd put into the game, I felt. But actually, and we've seen it at Wrexham's a good example where they had to ride out a real period of pressure. Even West Brom first half towards the back end where Ilong Jr. hit the post. They're really good at staying in a game now. And if you do that at this level, you've always got an opportunity to turn it because of the way the pendulum swings and shifts so radically. Just in games, it can swing significantly. So they're a lot better at that now. The goal they concede is messy. Torp's shot is deflected off McConville. It falls for Essa. Fisher then kind of runs across McConville. Neither of them can block the space. There's an angle that appears for Essa to fire the ball low into. I've seen a few kind of criticisms of Vladan Kovacevic. I haven't watched it back. I think it's a really powerful strike. I think he sees it late. It comes through bodies. I know people kind of always point to the near post as well. You shouldn't get beaten there as a goalkeeper, but I think that would have been an incredible save if he'd have pulled it off. It's almost past him by the time he's got down. So no complaints from me on that. Clearly a controversial incident before that where Brandon Thomas Asante should be sent off. I really don't know how anyone can watch that and come to any other conclusion. If you watch it, it's pretty disgraceful for me, actually, because there's a there's a swing, there's a slight kind of he edges his elbow one way, and then he goes back for a second bite with the other and flings his elbow into Pelle Madson's face. It's a really disgraceful act. It looks to me all the world intentional. It's in the linesman's view. I don't really understand how he hasn't seen that incident play out, but nevertheless, if the officials don't see it, they don't see it. What will be really interesting to see what happens now is what happens from here, because I'm sure we all remember that QPR game last season where Kenny McLean was suspended for 4 games, 3-game ban for violent conduct with an extra game because he'd missed or he'd had a 3-game ban earlier in the season. I really don't see a situation where Kenny McLean can get banned for that, which was pretty innocuous, I felt, pretty harsh. And Brandon Thomas Asante doesn't for the one tonight. That feels to me, with all of the angles that I think clearly the TV pictures have picked up tonight, prime for retrospective action if the match officials haven't seen it, and he should be banned for a significant period, because it was a really, really, really dangerous, silly, reckless thing to do on a football pitch. And thankfully, Pelle Madsen was okay. He went off at half time. It was his ankle that he went off with, which is a slight concern. But hopefully, Norwich can assess that and get him back out there for Middlesbrough. So Norwich went in at the break 1-0 down. I thought they were competitive for a lot of that first half. I didn't feel like there was a lot in it. Norwich had opportunities. Slimani had a shot that Rushworth saved. They got the ball into some really good areas. It felt like the difference really was probably the quality in that final action in the final third. As I said, Coventry were really dangerous. They had quality in those moments. Norwich just probably didn't quite have that in the first half. But whatever Philippe Clement said to them at half-time, it had the desired impact. Less than a minute, brilliant bit of play from Cordoba just to shift the ball inside and kind of break a Coventry press. And then it's all about Ali Ahmed, a slide pass down the side into Anis Ben Slimani's path. What an understanding those two have established so early on in his Norwich City career. And Anis Ben Slimani, a player who I think if a club would have presented themselves with an opportunity or an option in the summer, for him to leave the football club, I think he would have done so. Just rounds the goalkeeper and slots the ball into the back of the net. Absolutely fantastic moment that he is in, and just looks transformed in terms of the way he gets about the pitch. And I think even you go back to Boxing Day in that kind of first start that he had in that Charlton game where he was where he was hooked after 45 minutes, didn't really look fit. It's incredible, the transformation in him. I spoke a little bit about it at the Hawthorns, but the awareness that he's got now to play the passes, the way he's connecting, the way he's kind of feeding off Makama as well, and his presence and the space that he is creating for him, that combination that he's got with the wide areas as well, is really exciting. And I think I saw, and I put this to Philippe Clement pre-game, but it's now tripod's nearly gone. It's now, I think, 3 goals and 3 assists in 4 games or something, 2 goals and 3 assists or something in 4 games, which basically matches the 34 games that he did before that. My tripod is really giving up on me, which is not good. Stay there. No, you're not going to stay there. Right, let me readjust. Nearly there. Yeah, nearly there. I'm gonna have to wrap up very shortly. But yes, Norwich's winning goal came on the break. Makama broke down the right into Diallo. He pulled it back. Ali Ahmed slotted it into the back of the net. Norwich showed brilliant resilience at the end of the game to see it out. I don't think Coventry really threatened after the goal. And yeah, it was a huge win. I'm going to have to hurry up because there are some stewards that want to go home. So that was a very rough second half. But the scenes at the end was superb. Philippe Clement fist pumping, Kellen Fisher fist pumping, Ali Ahmed fist pumping as well. 3 on the spin. A really fantastic night and win for Norwich City. And a statement, I think, of intent. And Philippe Clement said after the game, his ambition is to make sure that there are more nights, there are more moments like this under him. And you just get the sense he is a man on the mission, and he's got this really nice knack of kind of being a bit of a throwback as a head coach and having that presence and authority about him and clear kind of presence and aura, whilst probably combining that with some really clever tactical and modern kind of elements to his coaching that I think makes this really exciting. And he's certainly got Norwich City in a groove, and I'm sure Norwich City fans in a really good mood as well. I would have liked to have spoken a little bit more tonight, but I'm sadly not going to be able to, because the good people here who are working very hard need to get home, as do I as well, because we are getting very close to Wednesday morning. Thank you very much for watching. All the rest of the analysis and reaction over at pinkin.com. You can check that out there as well. A brilliant night for Norwich City. Statement win, 3 on the bounce. Bring on Middlesbrough. See you there.